Okay, in this video I'm going to talk to you about the Gulf Stream currents. Here's a image from a pilot chart, and I'm just showing this so you can get the geography. But there's Cuba and here's Florida. And it turns out that because of the trade winds, there's a current that forces water into the Caribbean. It comes up through the Yucatan Strait, comes up into the Gulf of Mexico, and then winds its way up here between the Bahamas and Florida. And then it goes up north, and that becomes the Gulf Stream. Down here, technically it's called the Florida Current, but you can call the whole thing the Gulf Stream. So anyway, this might be sort of where that current is flowing in northerly direction. Northerly here, easterly, and then northerly thereafter. As we look at this, there is what's called the inner edge. So from a Florida perspective, this would be the inner edge of the Gulf Stream. This would be the middle, the axis of the Gulf Stream, and then this would be the outer edge. And the inner edge is where the current starts to run northerly or easterly. The axis is the fastest part, and then so it goes. As you get here, the current starts to pick up. It reaches a maximum. It starts to decrease. It reaches a minimum. Okay. So we got some tables that can approximately how far off the coast of Florida, between Florida and Cuba, between Florida and the Bahamas, that you might encounter the Florida current. So that if you're going northbound, you try to get along the axis of it so you get a big boost. But if you're coming southbound, you try to stay out of the current as best you can so that you're not fighting it. So in the 1983 book, there are these tables, and it starts in the back of the book somewhere called the Gulf Stream. And there's two sets of tables back here that you're going to be interested in. One of them is the between Rebecca Shoal and Cuba, and the other is between Fowey Rocks and Gun Key. And by the way, if you read these pages there, it explains how to use the tables. But just to give you an idea, Rebecca Shoal to Cuba, that's from about Rebecca Shoal's about here, and there's Havana. So the current starts about 20 miles out, and it's 20 miles out of there, which might be around here, about 0.3. At 35, it might be 0.7. At 50 miles, it might be about 2.2. That's the axis. So the axis is around here, 50 to 68, and then it decreases, okay? And then over here is between Fowey Rocks and Gun Key, and that's over here. So they're giving you the idea of where seasonally the Gulf Stream might generally be, offshore. At any given time, though, it's going to be whatever it is, and this is before we had really good satellite imagery, and now you can download this information. But you still have to sometimes do these on the Coast Guard exam. So this is another table, okay? And this table is looking also from Havana all the way up to New Jersey, okay? So this goes, so there's a section here of Florida, Florida, and then here's South Carolina, North Carolina. And again, it's trying to show you about how far offshore the inner edge would be and about how far offshore the axis would be. So if you were looking to find out how far offshore the inner edge might be for Savannah, Georgia, you might expect it to be about 65 miles out. So if I was going southbound, I'd try to stay within 65 miles. But if I was going northbound, I'd try to get myself off maybe 95 miles, and I'd pick up the maximum boost. Okay? And that's how you use those tables.